All right, guys. Coach Dennis here with Dr. Steve Ward. Shut the F Up podcast. So we'll just jump right in. Steve, where you from, man? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, Dan, first off, thanks for having me. Having a good time, bro.
Yes, sir.
A lot of time on the mat, not a lot of time on the mic here. So, so I'm from Massachusetts, town northwest of Boston, a great town of Billerica, Massachusetts. And grew up there, went to school there, did my undergrad there, and decided I needed to move south. So moved down to Texas to go to grad school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just kind of looked around for a good school that you wanted to go to, or?
I had a couple options coming out of college, and met a chiropractor at the gym that I was managing at the time, and he kind of pushed me in that direction a little bit. I was looking at PT, possible med school, and some other things, and looked into the schools. At that point, there was 14 schools in the country, and I didn't want to go to Davenport, Iowa, cornfields. And there was another school in Marietta, Georgia that I looked at, and then Dallas, Texas, and came to Dallas, had some Tex-Mex, and I was in.
Nice.
Yeah, so I moved down here in 92.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a Texan now.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So what's some of the big differences between like where you moved from and living in Texas? The big differences there.
Well, first off, the winters.
Oh, yeah.
You can keep your friggin' winters, right? Can we say fuck on this podcast?
You can say whatever you want.
All right.
The name of the podcast is Shut the F Up Podcast. So.
But yeah, I never liked the cold, even as a kid. The only thing I really miss is playing pond hockey. When it would freeze over and we'd go out with a case of beer, and buddies and myself would go play hockey all day and drink beer. That's about it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the warmer weather, and the big difference too is just food. I mean, up in Massachusetts, on the border is considered Tex-Mex, right? So you can't beat the Tex-Mex and the margaritas here. And up there, the pizza. And then the other thing I miss is like roast beef sandwiches, which you'd think they'd have them here, but they don't.
Oh,
Not
wow.
like up there. So there's a lot of differences. I miss it. When I go there, I enjoy it. I typically go in the summer, and my brother still lives up there with his wife and kids. And so, we try to go up in the summer, go down to Cape Cod and enjoy all that stuff, but keep the winters.
Yeah. So now that you did your undergraduate here.
No, undergraduate there.
Oh, you did your undergraduate
there.
Okay.
Yep, at UMass.
And then you came down here.
Then I came down here and graduated from chiropractic school in 96. And then my business partner, Mike, shout out to Mike Schnappoff.
What's up, Mike?
He and I opened a practice in Capel, Texas, and we didn't know shit. We each borrowed 10 grand from our parents, and kind of started from there. And we've been blessed and fortunate to kind of grow the business.
And you guys are still partners too.
We're still partners.
That's awesome, man.
We usually almost get in like 2 or 3 fights a year.
Yeah.
But he's afraid I'm going to choke him. So
you got to get to the gym.
Yeah.
Mike, get some jiu-jitsu in.
So funny story. I guess we'll probably talk about jiu-jitsu at some point. Yeah. So the reason I started doing jiu-jitsu, we all saw Hoist Gracie in 93. But Alan Moeller had a gym up the street from us. And Mike actually started doing jiu-jitsu in like 94, 95. Wow. And I was still playing a lot of hockey at the time. I played up north, and then was playing in a bunch of, men's leagues down here. And we were seeing a lot of patients from the jiu-jitsu school, and Mike started doing jiu-jitsu with Rob Abels and over at Allen's gym. And they kept saying, you need to come in, you need to try it, you need to give it a whirl. And I'm like, guys, I don't need another hobby. And, eventually I started doing jiu-jitsu, but Mike started before me. He got the purple belt. And Mike's really good at Muay Thai. Jiu-jitsu bothers his back. He's got some back things that every time he trains, like one day he's out for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So I think he could still put somebody in a chicken wing or something, but who knows?
Yeah. So once you graduated here, How soon did you start your own practice after you graduated?
Dan, it was right after. It was right after. I went on a couple job interviews, got licensed in a couple states, and Texas was kind of like my safety, right? Back then things were different, and you had to take each state board individually. Things have changed now. I won't bore anybody with that, but Texas was my safety. And Mike and I met through a mutual friend, and he said, "Hey, I'm looking at opening a practice, at a place in Capel, Texas." Now, back then, Capel, Texas was considered north of the Mason-Dixon. Not like now, where it's built up all the way through Denton. And everyone's like, "Why are you moving to the sticks?" And we opened a little practice there. So that's kind of how that manifested, somewhat unplanned, but serendipitous nonetheless. Serendipitous on kind of how it all fell into place. Because I didn't plan on staying in Texas as much as I like it and enjoyed my time here. And used the fact that my best pickup line was that I didn't know how to two-step, so I'd ask girls to dance, and they would teach me, and I didn't know how to two-step, so they're like, "You're a great teacher," type thing. But yeah, so then we started our practice November 1st, 96. We just had our 26 year anniversary in November. I know, man. I don't feel that old. What the hell happened? So
time flies, man. So so you never worked for a chiropractor?
I didn't work for anybody. I went and interviewed with some folks, and I was like, "Fuck them."
Yeah.
I can suck on my own, and I don't need to go suck for somebody else. So, and I think Mike had kind of the same gumption, and that manifested into us taking the biggest leap of faith I'd ever taken in my life. Because in school, you learn all the didactic stuff, right? That you need to know to be a good doctor, and diagnosis, and reading x-rays and MRIs and all that stuff. You know what you don't learn? How to run a business. So we formed a 50-50 general partnership, shook hands.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, "Oh, we'll have the attorney drop the stuff." We shook hands.
Yeah.
And, we were chief cook and bottle washers, meaning we worked the front desk. We were therapy techs. We were rehab techs. We were doctors. We each had a part-time job when we started. So, Dr. Schnappoff wasn't available on like Wednesdays and Fridays because he was bartending at the Four Seasons in Irving.
Nice.
And, Dr. Ward wasn't available on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons because I was valet parking downtown.
Nice.
Praying to God that one of my patients didn't go like, "I think that's my fucking chiropractor right there." And so I think after 8 months, we were able to quit our jobs.
Nice.
And, we did pay our parents back, 20% interest, by the way. It was a good ROI for them. And I remember we took our first paycheck. My rent at the time, I was living in Valley Ranch, was $555. I had the room next to the gate, so it opened all night. And I think our first paycheck was $500.
Wow.
So anyway, it just, it's the old uphill both ways in the snow story, but I mean, that's really how it started. And we would answer our own phones, and the only thing we outsourced was our billing, and, most folks do that anyways. We still do it still. So,
right.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's some of we talked about for a second, we made a joke on like time and age and stuff. So what are some of the things that now that you wish you would have known then when you first started out?
Oh, shit. And it's funny you ask that, because my big boy is going to be 16 soon. So I think about this all the time. My dad always told me to work smarter, not harder. I'd like to think I've done that a little bit. I paid a lot of dumb tax, making mistakes, and a lot of the way that we've been able to grow our business. And when I talk to, we've got 4 offices getting ready to open a 5th, and we've got another management company that manages 17 PT chiro clinics and that kind of thing. And when people look at me and they're like, "Why do you do it this way?" I'm like, "Because I already fucked it up the first time.
Right.
I already made that mistake, and this is why we don't do it this way, or this is why we don't handle it this way, or this is why we don't schedule it this way, because I've already made the mistake."
Yes.
And I guess, again, going back to jiu-jitsu, right? You keep making the same mistake. You keep getting caught in the same submission.
Right.
Eventually, you self-correct.
Yes.
And so a lot of it has been the self-correction. I try to teach my son that. Another thing is trusting your people. That's been my biggest difficulty, is trusting. You own gyms, so you think you need to teach every class and you need to be there all the time. Well, if you lay the foundation appropriately, you could be at one of your gyms and have somebody like, Renee teaching at the other school, and you know that the quality of what you want to be taught that represents street jitsu is being done.
Right.
Same thing with Jill, right? Jill is going to teach a class in such a way that it's commensurate to what your thoughts are for the brand that you're building. And the toughest thing for me, I used to micromanage like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
Ride people like a rented mule, dude. And, now I've learned to kind of sit back a little bit, appreciate people's talents, and then we all sharpen each other's swords. So, it sounds so beautiful when I say it like that, but it's in reality, that's a tough process.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of chinks in the armor, and there's a lot of shit in the diaper when you're trying to do that. And, I have a vision of how, and when I say Mike and I have a vision of how we want our practices to go and how we want them to run, and the level of customer service and follow-up and professionalism that we want to show people and to deliver to people. And when we fall short of it, it's easy to just go bang your fist on the desk and say, listen, what you need to do is take a step back, ask what happened, and then appreciate things from a different angle. And I didn't have that wherewithal when I was younger. It was my way or the highway. You didn't like it, go fuck yourself. And, that, I guess that probably brings me to the next thing I tell my son, is that don't have the motto of your life be go fuck yourself.
Right.
I used to just be, if you weren't in line with me, go fuck yourself. And I'm trying to teach him that, you need to kind of expand a little bit. And I'll qualify that in a situation, not in the situation that we're in. And I don't talk politics, and I don't even want to get into that. Certain things are, this is this and that is that, but appreciate other people, right? Appreciate what talents they bring. I know how I operate. I'm extremely left-brained, and if I'm talking to you and I'm like, okay, Dennis, this is your problem, and you have 3 different solutions that we can do to fix this. And the fact that our clinics now are multidisciplinary, I have folks with other training where there's a ton of overlap, but they may be looking at it from a different angle. And that's helped me in my personal life. That's helped me in my jiu-jitsu life. It's helped me in my professional life, that sometimes you got to realize, just because, this one escape from omoplata doesn't mean that there's not 6 other ones that aren't just as good.
Right.
Maybe better.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody has a better option. So I'm trying to teach my boys that. I'm very fortunate. As I said, I got 2 boys, almost 16 and 9. And great kids. I love them. Hi, guys. And, I'm trying to teach them what it is to grow up to be a good man, an honest man, to be a man, but maybe to embrace a little more compassion and empathy that maybe the young Steve growing up in Boston that would have just told you to fuck off and made fists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting soft, right? 53, I'm getting soft, but that's what I'm trying to teach my boys, a little bit of temperance. But temperance doesn't mean that you step off the line.
Right.
Temperance means maybe you give a little grace here and there. Temperance means maybe you give a little understanding, but there's still a line. There's right and wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a parent. That's the toughest thing that you try to impart to your kids in an ever-changing society. I mean, we didn't have, TikTok. I mean, when I wanted to call a girl in high school, I had to be like, listen, I'll call you at 7.
Yeah.
And I'd have to, right? Now these kids like on whatever I know they're on TikTok and stuff, but whatever they're meeting, even just their little meeting things, and you got Snapchat and a race in 7 seconds, so whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just so out of the loop there. But you got to realize that that's a reality.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and even talking to my boy about being like, listen, man, the content that you may put out on your social media, you may copy, you may paste, you may share, you may like, that stuff can bite you in the ass now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, especially with this cancel culture nowadays. They'll try to cancel people. Like right now, the most dangerous thing you can be right now, it used, you know, and I've mentioned this before on other podcasts, but it used to be like rock music was the devil.
Yeah.
And what was jazz was the devil, then rock music, and then hip hop. Yeah. And now it's comedians. Now comedy, if you're a comedian, you're a rebel now.
Yeah.
Because you got to watch what you say with this cancel culture. Yeah. And so like, it's like you're basically an outlaw, and you've been doing comedy now. And
yeah, you know, I owe it to you, right? I really do. So, you know, I joke about it that I was an asshole for 51 years for free.
Yeah.
Right. For free. But it was you know, I always wanted to do that. And then you're married with kids and they'd be like, you know, hey, dude, there's an open mic at 9:30 in Dallas. I'm like, I live in Flower Mound, Texas. Yeah. I'm home with my wife and kids and I'll be in bed at 9:45. Yeah. And then personal circumstances brought it to a different thing. I remember you posted on Facebook, like, I'm doing open mic, bitches, or whatever it was. And I remember texting you or I posted it on your wall and I said, I got the kids this Tuesday, because it was Tuesday at Will Call. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to George Red Speaks, right? Yes. What's up, Georgie? What's up, George? And so George had his open mic there. And I said, I can't do it this weekend, but I'll do it or this Tuesday. I'll do it next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And then I hit send. And I was like, fuck, I just committed. And then I remember I was so nervous. It's an open mic. Yeah, yeah. I'm so nervous. I'm sitting there going, you know, I think I had a drink to calm down. Oh my gosh, they're going to call my name. I'm 7 more on the list. You know, and then from there, it's graduated to the point where, you know, I just did a big show with Comedy Junkie Society and George. And we did it up in Denton, Texas, and it was a sold-out show. There was like 250 people there. They were selling standing room only. I hosted it, and I've got to work with a bunch of fabulous comedians. You've been at a couple of my shows, and you know I've been blessed that I've had people. You know, both you and I are like, you know, kind of funny sometimes and whatever. Get a couple drinks in me. We'll try to do that this podcast, and do it. But to go up on stage and kind of have those lights shining in your face that you can't even see anybody, it's surreal. Yeah. And even before, my son's at a track meet right now, and he was kind of worried about his track, and he's running, and he got the anchor leg on the 4x220, and he's been practicing. And I said, Bub, and he's all nervous. Yeah. And I said, Bub, when I did that show 3 weeks ago, it was on Saturday night. And on Saturday, I was sitting here pacing around going, you know what? I don't need to do this. Why do I put myself through this shit? Why do I do it? I've got a bunch of patients there. I've got a bunch of friends there. The place was pre-sold out. And I'm like, why did I put myself through this? Yeah. And I went, you know, I'm going through my stuff. And then my brain's like, listen, I'm sick of going through this shit ass comedy routine that nobody's going to laugh at. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And I hit the mic. I just went out and I hosted, as I mentioned, I had a fabulous 15-minute set. Mm-hmm. And I think some people laughed. But once you get in front of the lights, you know, it's like probably when you've had your MMA fights and stuff, right? Like the preparation happens before. Yes. Then it's the execution. Yes. And I try to teach my boys that, but it's like I was experiencing the same thing where I'm going, it'd be so easy just to bow out. It'd be so easy just to call and say, I got a stomach ache. Right. Right. And we've all had that. We both had that in jiu-jitsu tournaments. I'm sure you've had that in your fights. And then you get out there, and then once you start the flow, it happens. And that's what life's about. I read a great book called Flow years ago. And like when you're flowing in your zone, no matter what it is, whether you're a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker, or you do stand-up comedy, or you do ballet, if you're a chronic masturbator, once you get in your thing, it flows, man. Yeah. And I told my son, and I think about this because sometimes I've asked myself, am I giving my son advice that I'm not following, on the daily? That, put the preparation in. There's a great book. It's called The Fighter's. There's two books. Sam Sheridan wrote them. There's The Fighter's Heart and there's The Fighter's Mind. It was in The Fighter's Mind. And in the book, Sam Sheridan, the author, he's like a Harvard guy and went and interviewed all these people. He interviewed, Renzo Gracie and Randy Couture, Dan Gable, like all these people who like accomplish these awesome things. And the one chapter that I read all the time when I got something coming up, whether it be a fishing tournament or something that I know I need to perform, and it's on me, is I read the Randy Couture chapter. And Randy Couture says something. He says, when you're prepared, you don't need to worry. Like if you didn't study for the test,
worry.
You should be freaking out, right? Freaking feigning illness. You got irritable bowel syndrome. Writing the notes on your ankle. But if you're prepared, everyone's going to have nerves, butterflies. Everyone's going to pucker tight. But if you're prepared, then it's a matter of execution. And just like, as soon as they go ding, 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 and you're fighting, like all of a sudden you're doing your thing.
Right? Riding a bike.
And so, that's what I try to teach my kids is that put the time in, and my son will be like, well, Dad, I don't want to let you down. I said, Bud, first off, you don't want to let yourself down. You'll never let me down or yourself if you put all your effort in. I don't care if you come in last place. Right? I've gotten tapped in jiu-jitsu tournaments, right?
Yeah.
You've gotten tapped?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one of our good friends, I won't say his name because he got submitted in this tournament, but he's a badass dude. One of our good friends, our black belt buddies, and he has competed at the highest of the highest level. I'll never forget, I was there cheering for him, and I'm like, oh, dude, so-and-so's on mat 2. So I run over to mat 2. And, they go out, and it was an IBJJF tournament, and the match started, and he grabbed the lapel, and homeboy got him in a wrist lock, pulled the elbow. The match lasted 8 seconds.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Was he prepared? I know he was. Because I trained with him like 3 weeks before, and he raped me.
Yeah.
And circumstances are what they are. But if you're prepared for anything in life, then it's just execution. And you know what? The other thing, you're going to get me too philosophical, so I'm going to have a drink. You don't want the 52-year-old.
Right, while you're drinking, I'm going to look at your mic, make sure it's on. Yeah, it's on. Mine's on.
All right, good.
Yeah, good. All right, we're good.
My mic's still semi-hard. Okay.
We're talking about like life, like from growing up to like getting older, man. That's the fucking.
No, it is. And you think about this, and I'm older than you are, and you think about this, and then you're trying to bestow these virtues onto your boys, right? I mean, the good Lord blessed me with boys because, God, if I had girls, I don't even know what I'd do. So I got boys, and I'm molding them, and it's not bad. It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu is the best teacher for that, right? And we haven't even got into Jiu-Jitsu yet, but it's okay to fail. If you let that failure define you, then fuck off. Right? I mean, we don't have to all be Goggins either, right? But if you take the failure and you make the auto correction, you change that one, it's like you change that 1 degree and then it goes to there. And that's what I'm trying to teach my boys. If my son has a shitty race today at the track meet, I'm going to hug him and say, good job. Did you try your hardest? Yeah, Dad. Win. Guess what? You got another one next Friday. So let's fire up for that,
Right.
And that's the toughest thing, man, is I want to be a role model for my boys. I've had some personal trials and tribulations with, getting divorced and stuff like that. But, the one constant that I've had throughout that, fortunately, has just been my trying to be that example to my boys. You know what I mean? And I know you're that to your children as well, because, the sea's not always calm.
No.
And sometimes the waves are coming in both directions. And there's a great poem by Rudyard Kipling called If, and it's like, if you can keep your head all about you or losing theirs and blaming it on you. Like, it's so easy, especially in the culture today where it's, well, I didn't get reelected, so it's systemic racism. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? You didn't get elected because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I didn't win that match because that guy, you know what? You lost. Autocorrect, self-correct.
Yeah.
Make the adjustment. I almost went into politics, but I pulled it back. I pulled it back. So,
and I wanted to ask you too about the comedies. Who are your top? I don't know if you have 5, but who at least your top 3 favorite comedians? Because I know you put me on to one of your favorite guys, and this guy's fucking hilarious.
Well, if you had to ask me my favorite outside of you, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I know. I'm not even my favorite.
Yeah. You got to love Bill Burr.
Yeah.
And again, growing up in Boston, he's a Bostonian.
Yeah, he's one of the
I remember when I was younger, we used to go when you were like 18 or 19. You didn't have a fake ID. I didn't have one, Mom. And we'd go to the comedy clubs all the time. And I remember seeing Bill Burr when I was younger. I remember seeing Brian Regan when I was younger. And so, but Bill Burr is definitely my favorite. I mean, you can't not love Dave Chappelle. He's the GOAT. There's no question. And he's transcended to the next level to the point where he's hilarious. You hang on every word. And I don't even want to say social commentary, but there's a point. There's a poignant pearl or gem that you need to pull out of what he said that can make you a better person.
Right.
And you laughed about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for those of you guys who don't know, just go look up Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, he put me on to Doug Stanhope, man.
Doug Stanhope.
Awesome.
Dude.
Doug is a beast, man.
Go look up Doug Stanhope.
Yeah.
And then
I never heard of him until you told me about him, and I started listening to him. This guy's fucking amazing.
Well, like even Joe Rogan and Bill Burr will both be like, that's the guy that, I mean, he's just on the road all the time.
Yeah.
I think I'm a fan on Facebook.
He's a comics comic.
Yeah, he is a comics comic.
Yeah.
Perfect way to say it, because everyone just is like, and he was on the Man Show or whatever. I think you remember that show. But he's just over the top, and I love over the top. Because like you said, comedy in this world that we live in, where we have to have padded rooms and we got to be sensitive to everybody's feelings, and I identify as an itinerant asshole or whatever it is that you do. Comedy is one of the few things that you can still be edgy on. You can still be edgy. It's still somewhat of a safe haven. Certain things I'm not touching. Promise you that. But you can still be edgy and maybe have a social commentary in there. George Carlin did it the best. And, he was popular probably when I was a kid, like 70s. And like, he just was, everyone thought he was over the top. But if you listen to his stuff now, what he says holds so much water. Yeah, it's still true. And as I said, Chappelle has that. I'm obviously a Joe Rogan fan for Joe Rogan's like the Renaissance man. He's like, I like this. I like all Joe Rogan has to do is start fly fishing, and he and I are like on point. But as I said, Bill Burr, huge Richard Pryor fan. Yeah. But the difficulty with that, some stuff is timeless. Some stuff is, you got to appreciate what Richard Pryor was doing at the time that he was doing it. Yeah. At the time he was doing it, people were going like, God damn. Yeah. And as I said, Bill Burr says a lot of things that I want to say. And because he's from Boston, he's a little ranty and he gets wound up and he does this. Oh, whatever, fuck face. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like that kind of comedy. Yeah. And now Dave Chappelle is kind of like, he sits there and gives you like a Caesaric pause. You have time to process what he said. Because sometimes in comedy shows, you're like 3 steps behind, right? Yeah. You're laughing at the last joke and the next one's coming on the punch up. And I mean, he's just kind of like transcended this thing. And a lot of people gave him shit for whatever his last special was. Was it The Closer? I think it was The Closer. Was it?
Oh, where he was talking about, I think he had said something about trans.
Yeah, and he had all that trans stuff, and I certainly don't want to talk about that. But the point was, his story was, to use the word again, it was so poignant. It it was so on point in teaching a lesson that you can't judge a book by its cover, and don't think because I say X, this means Y. You know, I mean, I get sick of yeah, I'm the 50-year-old white guy. Sorry, sorry about that. Not sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't even want to get into that, but I'm like, hey, you know, I put my time in like the rest of them, and I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah. So comedy,
and I'm hanging out with a half black, half Mexican guy, right? I mean, I'm so incredibly horrible, right?
Well, and you're doing comedy, you're doing jiu-jitsu, you got your medical practices, your chiropractic offices, and you're fly fishing badass. So
so when I got out of school, and my grandfather taught me to fish when I was younger. I owe that all to my mom's dad, Gump, and he taught me to fish. And I loved fishing growing up. And the rest of my family kind of didn't really care about it. And again, growing up in Massachusetts, we had ocean, and then we had a place in York Beach, Maine, which is just over the New Hampshire line. Like you go over the New Hampshire line and bang a right and go to the beach, and that's where it is. And so I grew up doing some fishing there. You know, you turn 18, 19 and you start chasing women. And I kind of fell out of it and, did my schooling and such, and then got into fishing again, and was really into the big game thing for a while, like, marlin and sailfish and dorado and all that kind of stuff. But you were out there trolling. And, it doesn't really require that much skill, right? You could have never fished a day, sit on a boat, a marlin eats the lure, the line goes down, and then you go reel it in, you sit in the chair, you stand up. You didn't do shit. So I took my neurology boards in 1997 in Key West, and I caught a tarpon, which is a really, it was like a 90-pound tarpon or something. Caught it on bait, and it changed my life. And we were in like 15 feet of water. We were right outside of Key West Harbor. So anyway, I started, like, back then there was no internet. How old does that make me feel, right? There's no internet, so you're reading like all the magazines. And then everything about tarpon was about fly fishing. My grandfather would give me a fly fishing rod, blah, 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 without boring people. So I really just went balls deep into fly fishing. I took some lessons. I went down to the Keys, and I absolutely sucked. And we had fish swimming by the boat, and I couldn't even get the fly in front of them. And I got home and I said, that will never happen again. And took some more lessons, casted every night. I promise you this, I lived in this apartment complex, and I'd be in the parking lot, and I casted the fly rod, because there's all this stuff, and I'm not going to bore people with it, but like to be able to throw a tight loop and get the fly to where it needs to go. There's a technique to fly fishing. And I practiced for a year every time. And I went back and I fished with the same captain. He was kind of a douche. And I caught, I hooked a bunch of fish. And I was like, hey, dude, go fuck yourself. I'm good now. And it manifested as and again, this is kind of contemporaneously as I'm starting my chiropractic office, and we're starting to make our business, and we're doing more. So now I have the availability and the finances to fish more, to the point where it's become an absolute obsession. And my two obsessions are fly fishing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People always ask, which one do I like better? If I just did Jiu-Jitsu, I'll tell you Jiu-Jitsu. If I just got off a fishing trip, I'll tell you fly fishing. And so it's just one of those things. And then I started getting into it, being the person that I am, getting into doing competitive tournaments. And, was very fortunate in 2012 to win the Gold Cup Tarpon Tournament, which is like the granddaddy. It's we're coming up on, this is our 60th year. Baseball player Ted Williams won the second one. It's like kind of it's the Wimbledon in our little world of fly fishing, and I was fortunate to win that. But I've been all over the world. Fly fishing has taken me all over the world. I've met such wonderful people in my travels. I've been all over South America. I went to Venezuela, and they're like, don't wear any jewelry, don't leave the hotel. We flew in a plane, landed in the middle of the jungle, and the plane went over the runway was cut out of the wood We ran over, the plane's nose was hanging over the waterfall when we got there. And we had a crazy trip in this remote place where, you know, you had to shit in a hole in the ground. I mean, like, you know, that kind of thing. But I was with wonderful people and I met wonderful people. And, you know, when you have folks that are like-minded, again, jiu-jitsu, we'll bring it back to that. Like when you go hang out, you just train and then you're done with jiu-jitsu and you're sitting on the mat and you're going like, hey, dude, what do you do when so-and-so gets the underhook? And you're like, well, I'll whizzer hard and I'll do this. And that camaraderie is awesome. Yeah. It's like it makes me happy, right? Being a hockey guy and playing hockey and being in the locker room. That's like my locker room talk. And it's like when you go fishing on a fishing trip, I went to Cuba 2 years ago. We're on a mothership on this remote archipelago. And I'm out there with, I think there was 12 of us. So 11 other fly fishing freaks. We're on a boat. We go fishing all day. We come home. We have dinner. We go up to the top. We all drink rum. We go to bed. We're all up before our alarm clocks, drinking coffee, rigging our rods, going in and having breakfast, going out on the boat again. Like, there is nothing better. Yeah. There is nothing better, man, than doing that. It's the same way when you go to 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu class. Like, who wants to get up at 5 a.m. and roll to jiu-jitsu class and then roll around with a bunch of sweaty, stinky men and having your face smashed by a forearm, having somebody go knee on belly on you, or having you do all this, and then, you know, doing 5-minute rounds with a minute rest, and you go through all this, and then it's done, and you're just going like, I think I need a cup of coffee. Yeah. Like, dude, that's the feeling. Yeah. That's the feeling of the accomplishment. With the accomplishment comes the spoil. You know what I mean? Yeah, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. It's the spoil. And it's not the preamble. It's what you get after that. That's kind of what I've learned. And, you know, I think that holds true whether you're a professional crocheter, right? Or you're a stand-up comic, or you're an alcoholic. If you're an alcoholic, go fucking hard, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Go ahead. You know? Yeah. So yeah, man. Don't get me talking about fishing. This will be a 9-hour podcast. Yeah. So what are some of the similarities between like fishing and jiu-jitsu, if there's any? Oh, what a good question. So with fly fishing especially, and again, I love doing river runs through it, fishing for little trout. But most of the stuff that I do is big game. Like I just got back in October. I went to Magdalena Bay. We flew into Cabo. It was a 5-hour ride north. And there's this phenomenon that happens where all the bait balls show up and all the striped marlin and blue marlin come in and they go on the bait balls. You can watch, you know, National Geographic to see it. But we were fly fishing for marlin and catching big fish. And, you know, one day I hooked 15 big marlin, whatever. So back to your question. The similarities are, number one, you don't show up to a trip like that ill-prepared. Right. You don't show up to a trip like that. You don't show up to an IBJJF tournament ill-prepared, or any tournament for that matter. The preparation has been put in. In fly fishing, your knots have to be precise. In jiu-jitsu, your conditioning has to be on point. Your tackle has to be tried and true. Your technique, and when you hook a big fish, forget just throwing the fly out and getting the big fish. Then you got an hour-long battle with a marlin on a fly rod, which is not necessarily the great fish fighting tool. When you're in a boat and you're trolling, you got these 4-foot rods or 6-foot rods, and you got these big reels or whatever. When you're fly fishing, you have tackle that's commensurate to the quarry, meaning these aren't trout rods. These are made that, you know, you have 400 yards of line on there, and you've got these big stout rods, but they're not the best tools to pull these fish out of 100 feet of water. So the point is your technique has to be there. There's a ton of technique involved in that. And just like everything where you're consistently sharpening your sword, how do you get better? Repetition. By fucking doing it in repetition. Yeah. And maybe you can't simulate, you know, pulling on a marlin out in the field in Dallas, Texas, but there are certain things you can do to work on how you pull on a fly rod. And it's just like, as I said, it's like jiu-jitsu. When you're prepared, things are awesome. Jiu-jitsu is one of the greatest things ever if you're in shape.
Right.
If you're out of shape, jiu-jitsu is the worst endeavor to ever pursue. Don't do it, people. I'm not telling you to get in shape, then go to jiu-jitsu. Go to jiu-jitsu to get in shape.
Yes.
But when you're out for a little bit, let's say you've had an injury, when I had my ACL tear and I was out for 8 months, I mean, God, getting back in jiu-jitsu shape was the most difficult thing ever, man.
Yeah.
It was brutal. When you're in shape and fatigue does not become a second enemy, right? Like, because you got the guy trying to smash your face in, right? But fatigue smashing your face in too. And so when you're in shape, and we've seen this in the UFC, I think Tito Ortiz was the first guy to show it.
Yeah,
that cardio can win fights.
Yes, he was winning a lot of fights just on cardio.
Just on cardio. And you look at the level of athletes that we have now. But it's the same thing. So to parallel the two, it becomes preparation. Time off the water, time off the mat. Maybe that's running, maybe that's flexibility, maybe that's identifying where you have the muscle weaknesses and going and working those in the gym. It's the preparation. And then when it's go time, you got to be ready to go. Because sometimes in jiu-jitsu, you got a 5-minute match or when you're as old as me, you probably get a 3-minute match. But when you're in your age group, you probably 8, 9-minute match, 7 maybe.
7, yeah.
Right.
5, 7.
In fly fishing, that fish may only come up to the surface for a second, and you've got a 3-second window to deliver the fly. So that becomes a matter of being temporal and making it happen quickly. And then once the dog fight is on, having the technique and the stamina. I mean, you can't be a fat lump of shit and go think you're going to do a jiu-jitsu competition the same way you can't be a fat lump of shit and go think that you're going to fight a big fish on light tackle in such a way. Now, you can do it with a big fat rod and the boat's backing down on it. And that's a jerk-off session all into itself that you don't want to get me down that road. But where I'm going is the parallel is, and it's probably with anything in life, is if you put your time in and you prepare, eventually you will get success. Success is not guaranteed, nor is it deserved.
But
it's earned.
Yeah.
And so when that success comes, that's where the reward lies. That's when you get that endorphin release. That's when you have that euphoria that you're like, fucking did it.
Yeah.
That trophy right there, people can't see it, but that trophy right there, dude.
Yeah, I'll show it. This thing's heavy as shit. I'll show it. It's heavy. Look at this fucking trophy. God damn.
Right? So that trophy was a culmination. I'll tell you what that was a culmination of. So I figured that was 96 to 2012. So that was 16 years of fishing. You drop that motherfucker. We're gonna have a.
If I drop it, it's gonna break my foot.
We're gonna have a jiu-jitsu match.
No, I'm gonna need to see you. I'm schedule an appointment to fix my leg.
So really, that was 16 years of fishing. At that point, before children, I was fishing 50 to 100 days a year, outside of all the practice and stuff like that. A lot of days on the water, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of tournaments that I lost huge. And, when that thing manifested, and I'll tell you what, it probably cost me my marriage.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I was fishing so fucking much. And it was just where my head was at. I'm not saying it was right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying, I was fishing so much because all I cared about was that. And then the tough part is, so if we're going to get back into the psychological component, like then you accomplish it. You see this happen with guys who win the UFC championship. Okay, so you put all this effort into being, Pan Am champion, no-gi champion, ADCC champion, again, a lot of the people listening to the podcast may not understand the fishing, but to me, that was my ADCC goal, right? That, like, to me, for what I put in and the time that I put in, and it wasn't easy. Like I said, it's not like, oh, I think I got me a good one, you know. And there's all this stuff that happens, and then it happens, and then the next day, everyone pats you on the back, and then the day after is like, go fuck yourself. So there's like the high and the low, you know? And I think the secret to everything is taking your highs and taking your lows and then trying to bring them in to a happy medium. Like, you want to enjoy your highs, and then you got to acknowledge your lows, you know? But the parallel is that, like, think about it, Dan. You would prepare for 12 weeks, right? Right. And you go have, how many MMA fights did you have?
I just had four.
Four, right? Yeah. But you've done a ton of jiu-jitsu matches. You've done a bunch of, like, fight to wins. Yeah. How many fight to wins you do?
I think it was probably three. Yeah.
Right?
Three, and a bunch of jiu-jitsu tournaments, and always training, always helping guys get ready. You know, even for the four that I did, that was still 2 months of training for each MMA fight.
But that's where I'm going, right? So nobody sees you getting up in the morning, you doing your road work, right? You eating your oatmeal. I'll tell a funny story. Keep me on track on this, but I had one of my patients today who was a top 10 UFC fighter and not fighting in the UFC, and he told me he's got to fight in 4 weeks and he's got to lose 31 pounds. You know who I'm talking. You probably know who I'm talking about, but don't say his name. Yeah. But nobody sees that. Right. That's where I'm going. Nobody's going to see that he's got probably a little suck ahead of him. Like, dude, you better start now. Yeah. Right? You better do a cabbage enema and start throat punching or do something. Yeah. But nobody sees that. You know, they see the 15-minute or the 8-minute fight or whatever that they see. And then you win and they're like, and still Dennis Thomas. And you're like, woo! And then they put the belt or the medal around your waist, or they pinch your nipples or whatever it is they do. Yeah. And you walk out and you're a hero at the bar and everyone buys you a shot of, you know, vodka in a plastic bottle. Yeah. And then the next day everyone's like, Dennis who? Yeah. Right? And so that is the ride. And I think we all have that. And I would kind of juxtapose that with life, right? That's the ride. You know, and, you know, there's so many branches off of that tree that I'm thinking of right now, like who's there on the way up and who's there on the way down and who's there in the middle, right? But you know what I'm saying, dude? Yeah. Like, I've been at your fights, I'm like, Dennis, woo! Yeah. And then I go to the bar and drink some tequila shots and Uber home, always Uber home. And then Uber home, and then I probably call you in like 2 weeks, like, Dan, when we training? You're like, like, dude, my eye's still swollen shut, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's why, you know, I don't like it when people get on, and that's if you win. Yeah. What if you lose? Yeah. Right? Yeah. What if you lose? And then people are dogging you on the internet or whatever. Yeah. And I'm just going like, people don't know. Yeah. And it's called, you know, agnostic agnosia, when you don't know what you don't know. Or gnosic agnosia. But the point being is that there's nothing that pisses me off more, you know, than motherfuckers who don't train. Armchair quarterbacking. And then they talk a touchdown shit. Every play. Why don't you just throw a touchdown every play? It's so simple. I can't even watch the fights anymore. Like, you were like, oh, street jiu-jitsu at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm like, fuck. Dude, you know who's fighting tonight? John Jones. That's back. Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Oh, yeah, today's Friday. That was Saturday. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah, I'm gonna watch tomorrow, that Saturday. But the point is, I can't even. Why did you just get up? Just punch him in the face, you pussy! I can't even do that anymore. Yeah. To go in public and watch. It's just like guys. You know, even watching like that. You know, the Gordon, not the Gordon fight, but it was Nicky Rod and Pena. Yeah. And like, I can't even watch that stuff with even the casuals. And I'm not trying to be an elitist, but when they say stupid shit, right? I'm like, you guys realize Penna's guard work here is like nothing you've ever seen. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And Nicky Rod's pressure was on point. Yeah. And then you're always worried about leg locks. And I don't know, man. I'm just getting old and grumpy. That's what's happening here. I'm just getting old and grumpy. I don't really give it. I care about love, respect, honor, and all that, and I just don't want to hear your fucking opinion.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially people who don't train or even try to train or have any experience.
Well, that's what it is, man. You know, Joe Rogan said it, you know, if you listen to his podcast, and I like his podcast, but, you know, it's like, I don't even listen to the social media. Because I try not to click on that shit. Yeah. You know, it was like, Gordon's such a pussy for pulling out. I'm like, really? Yeah. The best guy in the goddamn world? Yeah. He's probably the best ever no-gi grappler of all time. No-gi, yeah. Arguably the greatest submission no-gi grappler, submission wrestler ever. I do agree with that. Huge Marcelo fan. Yeah. But and then, of course, can't forget Hodger. I know gi. I know gi. Yeah. So it's like, that's another thing when people go, you know, they don't even remember the people in the past. Right. They're like, you know, XYZ, he's the best ever. I'm like, did you ever see BJ Penn in his prime? Oh, yeah. Like, did you ever see Mark Coleman back in the day? Dude, the fucking smashing machine. Did you ever see Mark Kerr back in the day? Like, monsters. Let's all calm the fuck down, right? Monsters. They had to change the rules because Coleman was so dominant. They outlawed fucking headbutts. Yeah. They outlawed knees. Well, you ever see that Vale Tudo Brazil? Yeah. When you got it was Mark Kerr versus the General over at Alliance. I ain't talking about. How am I forgetting his name? It's a dishonor that I'm forgetting his name. Is it Gustavo? No, it's not Gustavo. No, I'll think of it in a second. But they're headbutting. Yeah. He's got his hand in the cut. Like, really? No 12-6 elbows. Yeah. Oh, put your mouthpiece back in. Yeah. You know, and please don't think I'm being disrespectful to those who fight now, because I never did it. Mm. But I'm just going, like, when people say, like, I don't know. Yeah. You know where I'm going. Yeah, yeah. And you can't disrespect Gordon in any way. He's the man right now. You can't disrespect Hodger. And then if you want to see jiu-jitsu, go watch Marcelo in his ADCC. Yeah, Marcelo Garcia. I mean, nobody knew him. Gordon is the best ever, the greatest ever no-gi grappler, but Marcelo's my favorite jiu-jitsu fighter of all time. Because he would just go out there and just take on monsters, man. Rico Rodriguez and all these other guys. And, you know, pound for pound, he's a fucking stud, man. And Marcelo was just doing shit that people weren't doing. He's a little guy. But Gordon is a beast. You know, Hodger Gracie's a beast. You know, I think Hodger beat Marcelo like 3 times. You know, but that doesn't take away from Marcelo's. And then you got fucking Jacare. And then you've got fucking Teddy. Well, Dan, the thing that it comes down to is it's easy to hate. Yeah. So I don't mean to bring it back to my boy with the track meet, but again, we were talking about anxiety and stuff, and I pulled up the Teddy Roosevelt quote, "The man in the arena." Yes. I texted it to him today. It's a great. And I'm quote. Like, it is a great quote. It's basically like, if you ain't doing it, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Right. You're not the guy putting it out there. So. It goes back to Bill Burr. Even comedy, yeah, exactly. Bill Burr is the best because he's just like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Hey, dude, you ain't doing it. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. It's so easy to get on stage and fucking try it. You're not training. Go fuck yourself. Well, when I see red, whatever, man. You know, I remember we were training over at, and we got a big shout out to Cena Haddad. Coach Cena. Coach Cena. We love you. Love you, Coach. So, when I was training over at Star Jiu-Jitsu, and I got my black belt under 3 people, Yusuf, Kenny McClure, and James Brown. And over at Star Jiu-Jitsu, Coach Cena got his black belt like the class before me. I think it was he and Jula got their black belts. And Coach Cena was there. I forgot where I was going with this, but it'll come back to me. But anyways, used to be so tough over there. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, every black belt from town would descend on them, and it would be like the fucking Mundials every Tuesday and Thursday. The training was so tough. Where was I going before? I can't wait to watch this and be like, hey, you're a buffoon. Whatever. We're talking about people that don't do shit. Right. You know, people that sit back and armchair quarterback, but they don't, you know, even the Super Bowl with Rihanna,
people were talking shit about she's not dancing enough, she's not moving enough, she's fucking pregnant.
Well,
Get up, 400 feet in the air.
Most of the people that were dogging her were like, listen, she's fucking, obviously, we're fucking, so we can say something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
That wasn't funny, was it?
But I mean, it's kind of true though, because that's what I love about comedy. Is comedy has the best comedy has some truth to it.
Always.
Always, that's what makes comedy so great. It has a little bit of truth to it, or sometimes a lot of truth.
It's a lot of truth, and that's why comedy is so cutting.
Yeah, people get so fucking offended.
But isn't that why we do it? Like, I love, my latest stuff that I have, I go super hard in the paint with Karens. And it's just where I am in life and whatever. And I'm not going to expound upon it, but I go super hard in the paint. And I brought some new stuff out at the last show that I did. And I got some pretty good responses that I got to polish it a little.
Yeah.
But the point being is that when somebody is talking about something that you have an identification with, right? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's right.
Yeah.
Or, comedians are wonderful at taking something maybe that you consider a small detail and then hyperbolizing it to a point where you go like, God damn, that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's why comedy is just one of it's the last bastion of being able to express yourself without the hate. I mean, everyone's like, oh, did you put your stuff on YouTube? No. There's a million reasons. One, because I suck, but for two, again, I'm a professional, but I don't want that out there. My mother's like, oh, honey, good luck at your comedy show tonight. I'm like, thanks, Mom. She's like, am I ever going to see your comedy? I'm like, no, Mom, never. My mother will never see
Let
1
her see
second.
it, man. Let
She
her
maybe
see
can
it.
see me say like, yes, welcome everybody. I hope you have a good time. Good night. Like, that's what she might see with my
You're not going to
comedy.
let her see you talking about the crack-headed midgets and the fucking,
albino assholes and stuff like that. No. I showed it to my brother who's from Boston or lives in Boston, and, he maybe sits on a different side of the line than I do, and he just goes, and you're my big brother. And what did I say? Go fuck yourself. But that's what it is, man. And you got to push the line. Just because you push the line doesn't mean that it's your line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you push the line doesn't mean that you're towing that rope. Or maybe you're towing it a little, but not 100%. But when you start getting reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? And as I've developed, and I'm a blue belt in comedy. I want to be very clear, folks. Blue belt.
I'm still a white belt, no stripes. I don't even have my first stripe yet.
Blue belt, right?
He's a blue belt already.
I'm not trying to play like I'm like Tony Hinchcliffe here. Let's calm the fuck down.
And as a blue belt too in comedy, it's like you're one of those guys. Like you see those blue belts in jiu-jitsu who just started and they're already a blue belt because they train all the time. They're always competing. They're always training. And that's how you take to comedy is you started doing it more than even me, you know?
It was, and that's a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked about the fishing and jiu-jitsu. It's like when I go into something, I'm all in, balls deep. Mm-hmm. And I was very fortunate. One thing, I used to lecture an awful lot professionally, right? So getting on a microphone and being in front of people and spewing shit that wasn't difficult to me.
Right.
So if you're well rehearsed, and that doesn't mean you're like, I'm going to tell a joke, ha 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 ha, next joke, pause, ha ha ha. But being able to interact, when you lecture professionally and the crowd starts going like you're talking about, I don't know, degenerative joint disease at L5S1 and manifestations thereof in the lower extremity, right? You're already bored.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people start fading off, then you tell a funny story.
Yeah.
Right? And I used to have all these little funny anecdotes that I would tell or little pickup things. And, so to get people jazzed up and they laugh. And then instead of using the left side of their brain, they use the right side of their brain. And then they get a little endorphin release, bing. And then you can go back to the didactic bullshit of, modic changes at the end plate. Like, who cares? Same thing. So with comedy, and let's be honest, people think great comics are great comics no matter what, but there is a formula. There is a formula. It is formulaic in that, and George RedSpeaks.com, I'll give him props because I love Georgie as a person and he's helped me so much. And
George is the man.
A very accomplished Dallas comedian.
Yep.
And George, we met one day. We talked. He said, "Hey, dude, let's meet for coffee one day." And he was like, "Hey, man, I like your set. If you don't mind me giving you a little insight." I'm like, not
George
at all.
So helpful, man.
Right?
And I
took fly fishing lessons.
Yeah.
I took jiu-jitsu lessons from Octavio Cotto. And I'm like going like, no. So he's like, you could do this. You need to juxtapose this a different way. You need to maybe switch this around. And my original, I've got a bunch of other stuff, but my original, what I call, you got to have a type 5, right? My original type 5, which I think is it's moderately funny. He helped me with that. And then you learn to, so comedy, you take this idea and you distill it down and you distill it down and you distill it down and you distill it down. So it's the fewest amount of words to manifest the largest impact, right? Much like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
A lot of fluff in the move, you're not going to get the finish. Right? If you have to put your foot on the hip and pull the arm across, and then I do this and I switch my hips, guess what? The guy's out of the arm bar.
Yeah.
Or you just grab under the leg and go,
yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. So you distill it down. And George really helped me with that. But again, he was sharpening my sword because I was like this neophyte, which I'm still a neophyte, but I was just this neophyte. And I guess it's just the new challenge, right? Because you got to continue to challenge yourself. I see it in my patients all the time. You got those who come in. I had a patient today and he sees a personal trainer 5 days a week and doing this. He's having some back issues. We did the MRI. We had some issues, but we'll get this guy fixed.
Yeah.
He's motivated. Dude, I don't need to sprinkle any magic dust on him. He's going to listen, follow through. We'll give him some stuff to do at home and he'll continue. Yeah. I have some folks that come in, they do 8 weeks of rehab. Like, listen, you got a two-thirds tear of your supraspinatus. And I always give them this talk. You can do the rehab. What's a supraspinatus? I'm sorry. For those who don't know. It's a rotator cuff muscle, right? It's the top rotator cuff muscle that's the most commonly torn. So like, listen, you got a 2/3 tear of your rotator cuff. So you got 2 options. You can, maybe 3 options, right? You can do the rehab and we can fix it and you don't get surgery. You can not do the rehab and then it's going to tear when you're taking the grocery bags out of the back seat. And then you're going to have to get surgery. And then what you have to do after surgery? The motherfucking rehab. Yeah. The same fucking shit. And I have this talk all the time. I'm like, I had this guy this week. He probably had, and kudos to him because he's showing up to his appointments and doing everything right. But I mean, dude, he's this far from surgery. He had the worst MRI I've probably read in 10 years. Wow. 58-year-old guy. And what was the issue with him? Just herniated disc and canal stenosis and blah, blah, blah. But the point is, it's like pulling up to the gas station and your car's going, yeah. Like, get gas, motherfucker. Yeah. And kudos to him, he's doing it. But the frustrating thing, Dennis, is when people don't listen. And then 6 months later, they're in and you're like, nah, dude, kicking you off to the surgeon, 3-level fusion or an artificial disc. And guess what? You'll see me 20 weeks on the back end. Yeah. For the rehab and the physical therapy. Anyway, how the fuck did we get there? No, we're all over the place. Yeah, I love it. That's all right. Well, come on, you're doing such a wonderful interview. Ask me another scintillating question. Another scintillating question. Well, so now we're both single men. So what's the biggest difference for being single? Ladies, hit the like button. Ladies, hit the like button. Hit the like. Follow us. Hit the like button. If you hit it, I'll never know. All of Steve's fucking contact info, social media is going to be in the description at this podcast. You can follow him on YouTube and Instagram, and I'll put a Snapchat on there. You can follow me on Pornhub.
Pornhub. His
Old guy who fell asleep.
His OnlyFans. He's got an OnlyFans, a new OnlyFans account set up. You know, follow Steve on OnlyFans. But yeah, man, what's the biggest difference being, you know, you were single, I guess, when you moved to Texas from Massachusetts, and now you find yourself single now. What are some of the biggest differences and similarities, and some of the things that you know now that you wish you'd known back then, and vice versa?
So I'll go with similarities first, if I can flip flop that question. So the best similarity is that Texas. Now that my head's out, I don't want to say out of the sand. I will say nothing negative. I want to be very clear. I will say nothing negative about my last 25 years. Mm-hmm. But Texas has beautiful women.
Yeah.
When I moved to Texas, I was like, what the fuck is going on down here?
All my buddies tell me that. My buddies that live in New York, California.
So listen, you go to Massachusetts and everybody's got bangs and stretch pants. Like, what the fuck do you want, motherfucker?
Yeah.
And then you move to Texas, like, hey, baby, can I buy you Bud Light? So that was two horrible accents, I know. But case in point, you know, Texas is a wonderful place, and there's a lot of very beautiful women. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. You asked me about the single thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What's
the you know,
what the differences between like
back then being single and now being single?
Well, back then in Boston, I was like, hey, babe, how you doing? Huh? You like some of that? Do you? I don't do that often now.
Wow, is that what it is?
You know, obviously different stages of my life, and it is what it is. You know, it's a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, we both just. You know, we're always been buddies, and we kind of connected when we were both going like, hey, dude, I heard about this. Like, yeah, dude, I heard about that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And we kind of connected more, and that got us into the comedy thing. So that was, you know.
Yeah, we got some free time. We
get man.
Comedy now, yeah.
But it's one of those things that one, just like anything, one needs to be metered and controlled. And you know, you come out of a situation, no matter what your situation is, good, bad, awesome, sucky, positive, negative, indifferent. You come out of a situation, and then all of a sudden you have a different worldview, right? And hopefully you took that experience, just like all the stuff we've been talking about. You take your experiences, you shake them up, you distill them, like I was talking about with the comedy, and you come up and you formulate some type of option or opinion or thought process that pushes you into a direction this way. And you know, it's a different gig.
Yeah.
It's a different gig, you know. Being in your early 50s and being savagely handsome. I'm fucking kidding. You guys know I'm kidding. But like being in that situation and, you know, I have a lot of constants. My business, jiu-jitsu, my fishing and all that. And then you have like that X zone, the unknown. And so then you just need to, and you're in a little bit of a protective mode. You know what I'm talking about. You're in this protective mode. You're like shield up. You've got this exoskeleton. Yeah,
you're like, I don't want to get hurt. You know,
you got this exoskeleton that you're like protecting everything. But you know, the thing is that with you know, one of the things that's manifested, without sounding sappy, as I came out of that, you know, and understanding the man that I needed to be to my boys that I alluded to earlier, was a lot of was just my spirituality. And everybody can take that however they like, but my spirituality in such a way that, you know, I had to I dialed my compass in right, and I set my course, and really tried to live by that.
Yeah.
You know, which is the toughest thing. You know, it's like going to Vegas with $500,000 and going like, I'm going to be good.
Right.
You know, the same kind of thing kind of goes when all of a sudden, you know, the storm comes through, you know, and I'm not painting negative connotations on our situation. I'm just saying the turmoil comes through, and then you peek your head out on the other side, and then you're like, now what?
Yeah.
Now what? And that's been difficult. I'm sure it's been difficult for you,
the hardest
man.
thing in the world. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wish divorce on anybody. It's one of the fucking toughest things that I've ever been through in my life. But
You've heard the joke, right?
What's that?
Why divorce is so fucking expensive?
Yeah, because it's worth it.
Exactly, right?
But it's not just expensive financially. It fucks with your head.
It's expensive
emotionally, mentally.
I agree.
Spiritually, everything, physically, everything.
And so I think going where we're going with this, like when you're struck with a situation that has potential negative connotation, you go to what you know are your constants. When there's variability, you go to your constants, right? Like if you're Matt Hughes and you're getting punched in the face, you shoot the power double.
Good.
And so if you're going through a situation, then like you and I went through, like I'm saying this because like you and I paralleled each other here. Yeah. You're going through this difficult situation in which you don't know where to react, and I've got a lot of friends getting divorced now, and maybe they'll watch this. And, I got guys going to addiction, going to strip clubs, going depression.
Yeah.
Those aren't the answers.
No.
And I'm sure Dennis and I'm not saying we did addiction or strip clubs, but like depression was definitely there.
Oh, yeah.
But where I'm going is you need to have a constant when everything is a variable.
Right.
And I'll be honest, if it weren't for jiu-jitsu, and like I fought for divorce right during COVID, and all of a sudden, like I said, go fuck yourselves. I trained every fucking day, 3 to 5 days a week from day one of the lockdown till right this fucking session.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. But I'm telling you, if you're listening to this and you feel like shit's out of whack, think about something in your life that's a constant. It's a constant. Yep. Maybe it's that you take a shit every day at 8 a.m. That's one constant. Yeah. And then build off of that, because jiu-jitsu saved me in a lot of ways. Because I can't just go run off and, if you're in the middle of winter, there's no fishing in Texas, and you can't just run off and go to some, paradise place when we're in lockdown.
Right.
But jiu-jitsu kept me in check. How about you?
Yeah, it did. It did keep me in check. And no matter what I was doing, I made sure to go train, and I've got the gyms, and that kind of help hold me accountable and keep me grounded. Yeah. Because I know at the end of the day, I got to show up and teach kids class, or I got to show up and teach adults class, or I got to go over here and do this, or I got to go over and just, you're a business owner, just running the businesses, and you're responsible for a lot of people. You're the captain of the ship.
It is,
and that kind of keeps hold things.
But even if you're not the captain, right? And you're going through something, and I sound like I'm like doing an infomercial. I'm not. It's just as I went through this, and I've got a lot of friends who look to me now. They're going through a divorce and going through their storm.
Right. There's stuff
and I'm sure people reach out to you like, Dan, how'd you get through it? And you're like, hookers and cocaine, right? I'm joking. I'm joking. But where I'm going with this is find a constant.
Yeah.
If you have a constant, that's step, I don't even want to call it step one, because then it sounds like I'm talking about 12 steps, and that's not what I'm saying. If you have a constant, you can move.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. You can't get a waypoint. You know what a waypoint is?
No.
So it's a wonderful concept. So if you're flying, or if you're driving a boat at night, and you can't see where you're going, boat's even a better example because you can fly over shit. So you're driving a boat, right? And you're in shallow water, and you got shallow water over here and shallow water over here.
Dark as shit, and you can't see.
So you can set waypoints. So the waypoint is here, here. So all you know is you need to go straight to this point to get to the next point. So it's not looking at the end. You're looking at the next waypoint. And then at the next waypoint, then the direction will be, which direction you need to go. And dude, men need men. And I don't mean that, people are going to be like, Steve Ward says on Facebook, men need men. And then they're going to put some meme of me or something.
Yeah.
No, they won't, because nobody cares about me. But where I'm going is good men need good men. you know, and you were there for me.
Yeah.
And
you're there for me.
I know. And that's what it is. It's not that you need to commiserate, but it's you need to uplift one another.
Yes.
And I guarantee there's somebody at your jiu-jitsu school. And I will tell you, I never thought that this would happen to me because I never wanted to.
Yeah. I don't thought I'd get divorced.
To be this person.
Yeah.
Even not get divorced, but even be this person where I have people coming to me going like, hey, dude, but there's somebody in your circle who's struggling with something. Yeah. And it might not be divorce. And like I said, it might be addiction. You know, I'll bring up chronic masturbation again just to make it funny, right? That's called a callback. But where I'm going is, man, just be aware. Men need men in this society right now. You know, jiu-jitsu is, and I love having females there, but jiu-jitsu is it's mostly men. It's locker room time or whatever. Right. So, you know, gosh, I'm not trying to make this a public service message, but I'm just saying there's a lot of guys out there hurting. And I'll tell a good story. I got a friend. This isn't me like the proverbial friend. This really was a friend. And he randomly called another friend and said, hey, dude, you want to have dinner? And the guy was going through a tough time. And the guy's like, yeah, dude, I'll meet you for dinner. And they went to dinner. And he's like, just so you know, I was drinking Jack Daniels and had a gun in my mouth.
Oh, fuck.
So you never know.
Yeah.
Right? And there was no coding in there. There's no subliminal message. Dennis isn't pulsing anything. It's just be aware. Right? Be a good motherfucker. Be a good motherfucker. And if you're a good motherfucker, then that good motherfucker vibe is going to spread to other good motherfuckers. And then everybody's a good motherfucker and we live in a great world. Yeah.
I'll say a story that, so when I opened the gym, I opened it originally to diversify because, you know, you're a business owner.
We needed more whites and blacks to train together.
Pretty much. Yeah. But diversify with races.
By the way, I'm a comedian, so I can say that stuff.
But diversify as far as business. You know, you're a business guy. And
because tell him you do credit card business too. He does the credit cards in my office. Yeah, there you go.
So I needed to diversify because of the housing market crash.
When you tell this story, I'm gonna go get some more spring water.
So I can pause it. Yeah, let me pause it. Yeah, let me pause it. And we're back. We had to take a quick potty break. But going back to I was thinking about shutting down the gym because I wasn't making any money after I first opened, probably like 6 months in. I wasn't making any money, and I'm like, listen, I can diversify another way that makes more money and do something else. And
you know why that was?
What's that?
Subpar instruction.
That's true. With you. That's true. But I just had gotten open. And I was making more money with the credit card stuff. And then the jiu-jitsu gyms, like, you don't make a lot of money like people think. You do it because you love it and you do it to give back. But I was like, I can focus back on the credit card stuff. The economy is doing better now. But then one by one, I had members coming in telling me, man, if it wasn't for this place, I had one of my guys was like, I was on the way to kill myself. He's like, I was driving to kill myself. I saw the sign that said, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coming soon. He goes, I pulled in. You know, he's like, I had the gun ready. I had my note ready and everything. I was just going to go drive in park, blow my brains out. And then he's like, but then I saw the sign. He says, oh, jiu-jitsu here in Roanoke. I didn't know we were going to have jiu-jitsu in Roanoke. So he pulled in. He's like, let me check it out. So he goes in, signs up himself, his entire family. And then, you know, and he forgot to kill himself. Right. He just forgot.
You don't even know this story. You don't even know this because I never told you. I went and trained at your gym one night. You were at your Dallas location. And it was a Tuesday night. And I see patients 7 to 2 on Tuesday. So we go straight through and, you know, I went to 6 o'clock class. And these were a bunch of guys, like when I was teaching there, you know, that I knew, and there was some new folks. So I trained with one of the guys, one of your tried and true guys. And super cool dude, love him. And I said, hey man, what's going on? He's like, oh dude, I've been going through some personal stuff and I was away for a little bit. Not incarcerated or anything away, but he was away. He's like, I had to take some time off.
Away from training,
I had to do my thing. And he's like, I'm back doing this. And he's like, it's so good to see you. He's like, this is one of my constants in my life. And so that's when you realize that it's bigger than you.
Yeah,
like exactly. It's bigger than you.
Yes.
Like you've created like a culture.
Yes.
Like I have a culture in my office, and that culture, if your culture is here, then the ripple effect goes out, and it may affect somebody 3 layers away from you that you don't even know. It's
Right.
like, you know, the pay it forward situation or whatever. And so, like I said, man, you created a culture.
Yes.
And you've got a bunch of loyal students, and like I said, now you got multiple locations, and you don't have to be in your Roanoke location when you're teaching in Dallas, because you've got people there.
Right.
And I showed up randomly. It wasn't this week; it was last week.
Right.
I just showed up randomly, and of course, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on,
Yeah,
dude?" It's just the greatest thing.
So, how'd you get into jiu-jitsu? Like,
well, kind of like what I said earlier, where we were treating a bunch of people, and I had never done any grappling. Right. You know, I thought I was a tough Boston guy from the suburbs of Massachusetts. Right. And maybe threw down a couple times in my life. But, you know, it was that whole UFC thing. We had patients coming in, and then I started doing it. So, got to blue belt, was doing my thing, and got the 4-stripe blue belt. And I was training with a friend of mine. He actually worked for me for a couple of years. And this guy was like an alternate for like UFC 17 or whatever. That's what he said. Doesn't matter. So we're rolling, and he like goes 50-50 on me, pinches his knees and gator rolls and pops my ACL.
Oh, shit.
Pops my fucking ACL. All this time playing all this athletics and going to college and doing all this, and he pops my ACL. So I get up and I'm like, I'm fine. And I take 2 steps and turn and fall down. So I have to go in and get ACL reconstruction. Well, I got my purple belt. Like I was like, belt promotions were next week. So I got my purple belt. So that was in 0405. It was right at 0405. And so I got my purple belt. And so here I am, I'm wearing my purple belt on my passive motion machine, right, with my knee. I really wasn't wearing my purple belt, but so I just got my purple belt. And then, as I said, I had to come back. I was off for 8-9 months, had to come back. We talked about being out of jiu-jitsu shape or whatever. And then let alone, I'm sucking. And then I've got this new purple belt that still has the creases in it. Yeah. Right. I didn't even want to wear it. And then, by the way, the purple belt back then and the purple belt now is insanely. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. The blue belts are black belts.
I used to train with purple belts. I used to train with purple belts like this.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
yeah, they're good.
No,
you can't give them anything.
I'd rather train with a brown belt than a purple belt.
Yeah.
Purple belts are all trying to like rip your fucking head off. So anyway, I came back, and that's when I hung up the hockey skates. Because I was already having some knee instability issues before that, and I think the heel hook just like broke their last fiber. And so I hung up the skates. I hung them up, and I haven't played hockey since that day. And when I came back as motivated as I've ever been. I had meniscal repair, so I was in an extension brace for 7 weeks, and then you got, again, I do this for a living, so you got 8 months of rehab. And then even when you're physically ready, it becomes this mental component. Once you've had somebody, like if people used to grab my leg, I was ready to shoot them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, because again, I get popped by a heel hook.
Yeah.
And then I just was like, it was like Adrian going like, Rocky, you need to win. And it was like, boom. And so I say that because that's when I started taking jiu-jitsu seriously. Before that, I was a hockey player doing jiu-jitsu, and I was jacking around and doing this. Then I was like, I took jiu-jitsu seriously. Like today's Friday, I've trained 4 days this week. Nice. I didn't get a chance. I worked 7 to 2 today. I didn't have to try.
So I'm coaching a couple guys tomorrow at the Dallas Open. Shout out to everybody competing at Dallas Open. Good luck to you guys. I won't be competing, but I will be coaching. Are you going to go out there to watch some of the guys compete at all? Or are you just going to?
So it's funny you say that. My youngest has a soccer game at 1:30. However, You'll be at where's the Dallas Open?
It's going to be at the NYTEX Sports Center.
I will be there. Okay.
Awesome.
So I was going to tell you, you know who's competing there tomorrow?
Who's that?
You ever heard of JB?
Oh, yeah. I know JB's competing. Jace Brown is competing. 5-5, baby. Boom.
You ever heard of Travis Luter?
Yeah.
He's competing tomorrow.
What the
heavyweight.
Yeah.
So,
out of retirement.
so a lot of my old school friends are going to be there. So literally, I looked at everyone's like, "Are you going to?"
Fuck, man. Now I wish I would have fucking.
I didn't know it was called the Dallas Open. Like, you know, the Jiu-Jitsu tournament. It's over there in Hearst. I'm like, fuck. I go, you know, my son's got a 1:15 soccer game, and I looked at the schedule, and it's like Hearst. Oh,
nice. That's awesome.
I'll go to my son's soccer game.
Yes, dude,
and then I'm heading over, so I will see.
You get the Dallas Open and the John Jones.
But so rumor has it, and I love Travis Luter like crazy, man. And I've known Travis. Obviously, you guys may know him, UFC fighter, fought Anderson Silva. One of the baddest dudes I've ever trained with on the planet. I've known Trav since he was a blue belt. And according to Paul Hami, who's one of Travis's black belts, who I train at Paul's school 3 days a week, Travis is in the sickest shape you've ever seen.
Wow.
Like 198 or whatever weight. I don't know what weight he is, but he's like, I haven't never seen Trav in better shape.
Wow, he's gonna fucking dominate tomorrow. Somebody's getting their ass whooped. He's beating the shit.
I'm telling you.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Motherfuckers don't know.
Yeah, he's about to.
I've trained with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things. And I love that guy as a person. And
so who are your, okay, we talked about your favorite
comedians
and some of your, you know, who we thought were the no-gi goats. Who are your favorite UFC fighters of all time? And why?
It's a great question. So let my tequila brain kind of like get the donkey. I'm like Homer Simpson with the donkey with
so
the carrot.
many.
No,
there's so many, and you're like, God. Well,
so,
I mean, obviously,
I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I'm a huge Frankie Edgar fan.
Yeah, Frankie, the fucking answer Edgar.
So I remember watching, and again, I've been a UFC
Frankie
fan
is prime,
the whole
dude,
time.
That was a motherfucker.
And I remember watching him early in his career, and he's like total fucking Jersey guy. He's got the fucking Jersey hair in the back. And I just remember watching him. I'm like, this guy's something special. This is like his debut fight or whatever. Right. And I just remember going like, this guy's something special. He's got the it.
Right.
The it, like, you know, throw in, feints, takedowns, whatever. So I will say, I mean, Frankie Edgar.
Okay.
Obviously Travis Luter, just because known him forever. He was, not that I could ever say he was a patient that would violate HIPAA, but let's just say that I was instrumental, or my team was instrumental in helping him prepare for his fights. And then I'll just give you one more. GSP keeps popping in my head. Yeah. It's hard not to love GSP.
Yeah.
He epitomizes what martial arts is about. He's a badass. He's got the fighter mentality. I mean, getting beat by Matt Hughes and then coming back and beating Matt Hughes. And then I get so many good stories. So you want to hear some good UFC stories?
Yeah.
Where should I start? So I had to go to Vegas on a business trip. And I was training a lot with Brett Bosler.
Yeah.
You got to shout out Bosler. You don't deserve it, but you fucking got one. So I was training with Bosler and a bunch of the guys, and we're training 6 a.m. 5 days a week, 4 days a week. I'm in really good shape, like really good jiu-jitsu shape. Like we would switch off. We would do 3-minute rounds one day with 30 seconds, and then we do 8 minutes with a minute. Like we were like and you know the killer crew that was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You heard about it. So was in really good shape. So I had to go to Vegas for a business trip, and I went out there and I talked to one of my buddies, Denny Dumler. And he's a chiropractor out there, and he treats a lot of the UFC fighters and a lot of the boxers. So I said, hey, man, I'm coming to town. I want to go train. He said, well, Robert Drysdale, I got a bunch of his students come there, so I'll set it up. So we called Robert Drysdale and just said, hey, my buddy Steve's coming to town. Can he come by? Yeah. And I said, dude, I'm happy to pay a daily fee. I'm not asking for free training. I just like, direct me. Like, you're in the loop. Direct me where you should go. Like, if somebody called me, I'd be like, go here, here, or here. So anyway, so I go to Robert Drysdale's school, and I'm a guest. I think I want to say I'm either a 4-stripe brown. I think I just got my black belt. I think this is like 2000. Yeah, it was 2012. I just got my black belt. And so I go to the school and I'm a guest. So I'm there. I shut the fuck up. It was no gi class. Put my shit there. Where do I need to be? Over here. And then we're doing the warm up and we're doing fucking gorilla walks and fucking shrimp drills and not that I'm scared to warm up. Like, right. So, but like, dude, it was like a 45-minute warm up and I'm going like, I'm like sweating. Like, my mic okay? I'm sweating. And I'm like,
I think
what?
So. Yeah, it's good.
I'm like, what the fuck? Well, I didn't figure that Vegas is at altitude compared to Dallas. So I'm sweating a little bit. So anyway, I get through the warm up and I'm doing the thing and I weigh like 207 right now. I weighed probably 227 back then. And Drysdale goes, okay, like you guys go here, you guys go here, you guys go here. So I'm in the heavyweight side of the room. So there was 3 other guys on that side of the room. There was a guy named Sean Spangler, who was an extremely accomplished grappler at the time, like was winning Grappler's Quest or whatever in the grappling scene. The other guy was Forrest Griffin.
Oh, dang, that's cool.
Forrest weighed like 245 all day long. And then the third guy was Frank Mir.
Oh, shit.
So that's who I'm paired up with, right? So those 2 guys pair up, and I'm with Frank Mir, and he goes, start off just doing wrestling, like set up, take down, but don't finish.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, everybody was absolutely as awesome as they could be, as cordial as they could be, as professional as they could be, and as fun as they could be. I had so much fun.
Right.
So Frank Mir's leg was that big.
Yeah.
He weighed over 300.
Damn.
And I'm not saying a bad 300.
No,
he
but
was
he's in shape.
This isn't 2012.
Yeah, he's huge. He's yoked. Yeah.
I feel like we need to keep qualifying. He still looks good, but I mean, he was so big.
Yeah.
Forrest was huge, and Frank Mir was so big. And so we're like shooting this, Russian tie to single, and then he would go blah blah. And so we're going back and forth, and then they go, okay, we're gonna roll. So I'm rolling with Frank Mir, and I just remember being his guard and going like, I'm not a small person, 6 foot tall, and he made me tiny. So we had good training, and I had such a wonderful time, but I sucked wind like crazy. Like crazy. Oh, but that was a fun time. I'm trying to think what other good jiu-jitsu stories I have.
That's what I love about jiu-jitsu. It just brings people together, and you don't even know at any moment in time, you don't know who you're going to meet on the mat. Well, and it brings everybody together. You've got, doctors and lawyers and fucking, degenerates and whoever fucking
bakers
on the
and
mat.
Candlestick makers, and everybody's all together. Equal.
Yeah.
It's a great equalizer.
Yeah. A lot of businessmen, a lot of, whoever,
I'll tell you a great, obviously I keep saying I'm a huge Travis Lutter fan as a person, as a fighter, and I love him, and I love Travis is no nonsense. And you know him.
Yeah.
He's no nonsense. This is how it is. So at Travis's school back in the day, God, there were so many tough guys that are still tough, right? But, we all kind of dispersed a little bit. So many tough guys. But we were there, and Travis' school, you walked in at his old school, and there was a mat over here, and there was a mat over here. So this was more of the beginner mat, the white blue belt mat.
And when I got there, when you were already a purple belt,
Yeah, but hold on. When you made it to this mat, how did you feel?
Yeah.
When they're going, Dennis, go to the mat on the left.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you've been there. So it's like you got the gauntlet. Yeah. This goes to the office, and the locker room is right here. Yeah. And then you got kind of the mat where you start.
Yeah.
And then when they go like,
go on that side. Yeah.
Then you're like, I'm going to get my ass kicked, but I made it.
Yeah.
And so we go in there one day, and this is when like the Ultimate Fighter was big. Travis had already finished his shit.
Spike TV.
We're like Ultimate Fighter. He won like 4.
Yeah.
So it's like Ultimate Fighter 10 or 12 or whatever. And we had some guy in town who was on the Ultimate Fighter, and it was gi that day, and so. We go in and change, and like everybody, we do our warm up, and Travis, he's a man of many words, right? Over there, steep, over there, and was one of the guys there, and he was on the Ultimate Fighter, and he walks over. He's like, "Nope, you're over there," and he like exiled the guy to like the white and blue belt mat. And I was going, God damn, and I just was like, I'm just going to shut the fuck up and go train, and hopefully, hopefully he doesn't put me with like Jeff Owen or something.
Oh man, and Jeff's still training too, man. All those guys are still training, and they're still beasts.
All the same people that were there then are there now.
Yeah.
And I went to Trav's school, I don't know, it's probably 6-8 months ago. And I was I felt like I was the smallest guy in the room.
Wow.
I don't know where he gets these Texas Cowboys.
Yeah, these big monsters, man.
Dude, they're all like 240.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm a blue belt. Oh, well, that's cool. Oh, by the way, I was a 4-time All-American at Ohio State. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
NCAA D1.
Because you had that one guy, Jim.
Yeah.
I came in for the 6 a.m. class one day, and I'm like, what's up, man? And he had a purple belt on. I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? And I'm like, I get a great story. Remind me to tell you the wrestling story in a second. So I'm rolling with him. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Then he goes, he was a D1 wrestler. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where did he wrestle?
I don't know where he wrestled, but yeah, he's a D1 guy. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you guys a great story. So I was down at Octagon MMA, which is one of my other home schools here that I train a lot at. And shout out to Octavio Cotto, one of the greatest teachers of all time. You changed my game more than anything. I started doing lessons with Octavio when I was a black belt.
Oh, wow.
I was already a black belt.
Yeah.
And he changed my shit from really sucking to less sucking as much as you did sucking.
Yeah.
So thanks, Octavio. And now Rafael Lang, who was one of Octavio's black belts, is there, and I owe him so much. I haven't been there as much just because I've been working like a dog.
And they moved,
and they moved. They moved. So
yeah, it's nice.
So anyway, I'm down there for afternoon class. It was like a Wednesday. And, we go through our technique, regular class, you go through the technique, you do this. We did some situational training. And then Rafael goes, okay, we're going to start training, blah, 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 get a partner. So I didn't have a partner. And there's this little Japanese girl sitting right there. She's got a blue belt on.
Mm.
And Rafael goes, Steve, train with her. Right? Knowing that, I'm not going to hurt her.
Mm.
Right? Like, I'm going to train cool. And 90 pounds soaking wet with sand in her pockets. Like 90 pounds. So I'm like, we start training. I have her in my guard, right? Blah, blah. Okay. Whatever. We start rolling. I go to the turtle. She goes and tries to spiral ride me. And I go to just easily Peterson roll her, jammed. She's still got the hand there. So I go like this and I go a little harder, jammed.
Yeah.
Dude, I took a guy over the other day. He was 240. I took him over with just an easy Peterson roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So we train, and she's strong as shit. And I'm still going what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
So class ends, and it's over. We all train another 3, 4, 5 rounds.
Right. And
the guy who was working the front desk, he just got his black belt under Hodger, and please forgive me that I'm forgetting your name right now. It'll come to me. It's just eraser brain. He was a purple belt back then, and then he moved to England, got his black belt under Hodger. That doesn't suck. That doesn't suck, right?
Cool,
that doesn't suck. And he goes, hey, Wardo. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know who that is? I'm like, who? He's like, that girl you're rolling with. I'm like, no. He goes, Kid Yamamoto? Right? Kid Yamamoto, the Pride fighter, UFC fighter.
Yeah.
I go, yeah. He goes, that's his sister.
Oh, shit.
He goes, Olympic gold medalist for Japan in wrestling.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, God damn it.
That's why she was so tough. Yeah.
Dude, she jammed me 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
That's why jiu-jitsu is the greatest.
Because
it's the equalizer.
It is, man.
It's the equalizer. Like you said, it doesn't matter what your balance sheet says. It doesn't matter what it all says. And I really feel that it's this this wonderful metaphor for life.
Yeah, it is.
In that when you get into a difficult situation, you stop, you evaluate, you unwind, get out, and you can't start your offense till you finish your defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I sound super philosophical on this, but it's like, again, having gone through all this bullshit that we went through, you start going back to the constant, like I talked about.
Yep.
And you start going like, where did I go right? Where did I go wrong? Okay,
always the basics.
But it's all, what is it? The big joke, micro adjustments.
Micro adjustments.
It's the micro
adjustments.
That makes it. So let me tell you, dude, you've been doing this fucking podcast and interviewing all these cool motherfuckers like me.
Yeah.
What about you?
What about the wrestling story that you were going to tell me?
That was the wrestling story.
She was a wrestling girl. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can tell you some more wrestling
Well,
stories.
for me, as far as what? As far as the podcast, or what do you?
Yeah. So you started a podcast.
So
you've got a bunch of businesses. So what is it that you want to accomplish with this shit? You just want to get a bunch of guys fucking all riled up and asking about their station in life?
Yeah, man. I'm just, I love people, and I love because a lot of that going through like something major, like a life-changing thing, like even with my divorce, I could feel like nobody's going to go without wounds in a divorce. I mean, I tell people it's like throwing a fucking bomb in the house or a bomb in the living room. Even if you avoid the bomb, you're still going to get hit with some shrapnel.
Yeah. Oh, we're cordial. Go fuck yourself.
You get hit with some shrapnel. And even me, part of me, like, I don't have any physical wounds, but I had like some emotional wounds, some mental wounds. I felt like part of my brain broke.
Yeah.
And so like something was broken in my brain, but and that's part of the podcast is just life. Like a lot of people are like, what are we doing here on this planet? Why are we here for? And it's fucking 2023 and there's still fucking wars going on and there's still all this fucking bullshit going on, and how much money is enough money, and like where do I want to go with this and what do I want to do now, and you kind of reflect, because when you go through the divorce, you kind of feel a way like you're free in a way, so to speak.
There's a freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of the best analogy. Like, you're the chicken that just got out of the egg, but you still got the yolk on your wings.
Yes.
Right? I'm trying. There's got to be a better analogy there. Like you're the fucking eagle and you still got the yolk on your wings, not the chicken. And then I was thinking maybe it's a bat analogy. And then I was waiting for you to say I'm Batman. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you want to fly, but your wings aren't ready to fly because they're still wet.
Yeah.
Right? I know there's a Discovery Channel, there's a nature analogy.
And now we're living the bachelor life. You got the fucking bachelor pad. I got the fucking bachelor pad. It's just life, man. But the podcast.
My bachelor pad is as big as my bathroom.
Well, yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, for both of us.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I get it, man. The cathartic moment occurs when you realize that you don't know shit. Or maybe you know a little shit.
Yeah.
But you know more shit. It's like when you get your black belt. Everyone's like, oh, you got your fucking black belt. Right? I didn't want my black belt.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want your black belt. You told me.
Yeah.
You told me.
Most people don't want
You're
it.
like, Cena's giving me my black belt.
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. But eventually those shoes get filled.
Right.
And we all don't want the progression because we know that means more responsibility.
Yes.
It's like if you're at work and you're the assistant to the assistant manager, right? Like Dwight Schrute. And then you get the assistant manager. Now you're the manager and you're like, hey, I like the pay raise, but I don't know if I want the responsibility.
Right.
But then you fill the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've told so many people, it's like, I'm like, you earned your black belt.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get your black belt.
Right.
You fucking earned it.
You earned it.
And you earned it. And like I've trained with you fucking 10,000 times since you were a white belt or whatever, and you've earned it and it's well deserved. Now it's up to you. The impetus becomes upon you. Because my son asked me, he's like, so Dad, so let me get this straight. You get your black belt. Right. So I got my black belt in 12. So it's like 3-3-3. 5-5-5, 7-7. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah. To get the next
you know what I'm saying.
Stripe.
So it's like, so you just get another stripe? I'm like, you don't get a stripe, dude. This isn't a participation trophy. You still got to be
You gotta
training.
fucking earn that shit.
Yeah.
You gotta earn a stripe, because just because the 3 years pass doesn't mean you're gonna get anything. You gotta earn it. You gotta put in the work. The 5 years.
But what he was making a good point.
Mm-hmm.
At brown belt, if you don't show up, you never get to black belt.
Exactly.
But at black belt, do you get another stripe in 3 years? If you show up once in a while?
No.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. You and I both know the answer of the real thing.
Yeah.
Because we train every day.
Yeah.
But if you're that guy that shows up once every 6 months or whatever, and you go beat up a couple white and blue belts, and then you get off the mat and you fucking polish your forehead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that.
Yeah.
You know how many people I promoted? Fucking zero. Because nobody wants my lineage. And if I were me, I wouldn't want my lineage.
Well, because you don't own a gym. If you owned a gym, you'd be promoting people. But yeah, I mean,
no, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying. This is like just the craziness, and then people care about belts. How much do you care about your belt?
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
I just want to keep training.
Yeah,
I just want to keep training until I can't fucking do it.
And now I know why Hoist wears a blue belt and all that stuff. Like,
his dad did the same thing. His dad would show up in a white belt or whatever.
All you cared about was getting a black belt.
Yep.
And then you achieve it, and then it falls off.
Yeah.
So, dude, you got the 53-year-old guy thinking. So is that like that in marriage? Where all you want to do is pursue this chick, and then you get it, and then I just fucked you there. I fucked you. I fucking set it up. Here it comes. I know. So what I'm saying is that's human nature, or maybe men's nature, or maybe the nature of anybody. So there's something in neurology called attenuation, and it's called habituation. So if I'm doing this, you feel that.
Yeah.
But guess what? If I do this for an hour, you won't feel it. The car alarm's going off.
Yeah.
After 20 minutes, you don't hear it. It's called habituation, because your body attenuates that. Your brain no longer looks at that as a threat, so it blocks it out. So maybe that's what chicks do to awesome guys like us. See, I flipped it there. I flipped it, didn't I?
Yeah. Dude, that's something to think about, man. That's deep. That you got really deep.
It is deep. Let's go back to like dumb shit like jiu-jitsu, right?
That's deep, man. Now you got me thinking. I'm gonna be thinking about this shit like all night, tomorrow. Oh fuck. Yeah.
So do we need to finish this up? Or hold on. Do we have any more questions?
30. Yeah. We fucking did 2 hours. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay. Where do you go from here now? Like, you've accomplished so much in your life, right?
Yeah.
Well, business, training, fishing. I'm being serious though.
No.
I mean, I'm being serious.
I am too, I'm being self-deprecating.
You're very accomplished. So what keeps you motivated, and what are your goals?
That's a great question. So I do like the little, the jerk off thing and everything, because I'm not satisfied. And that's healthy and unhealthy. So I'm going to break that down.
What about being content?
Never been to be content. Because are you going to be content? Are we going to do jiu-jitsu till we can't do it anymore? My dad's like, when are you going to quit that shit? Like, when I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, when I'm 8 years old.
But I never want to be content. Content and happy are two different situations. Content means you're sitting there with your glass of wine on your fat belly and you're puking fucking pork fat on your face.
No.
Hold on. Happy means you look back on a life well lived and understand that you gave it your all in every single little faction of your life, to the point where it's culminated just like a comedy routine and distilled into this wonderful thing, and you die of old age with your old people around you and your nursemaids rubbing your feet. Ain't gonna happen like that. So if we've taken it there to the puppy dogs and rainbows, let's take it back. And I do that a lot, just to where you're going. Whenever I have a problem, and plenty of them, I'll take it to the fucking nth extreme and walk it backwards. It's helped me. If that helps anyone, I don't know. It's probably fucked my head up more than anything. But where do you go from there? Like I ain't done. And I still look at myself in the mirror and say I'm underachieving because I'm not going to give myself a jerk off session. Like I got so much to accomplish, so much to do. I got beat up in the gym the other day. I went and trained at one of our buddies' gyms. I went to Rogue Jiu-Jitsu with what's up, Kyle Pate, and I trained with one of his guys. And I stopped his berimbolo like 4 times, and then he berimboloed through, and then he got my leg, and I got out of the first 2 leg locks, and then he caught me in a third one, and I was like, "Fuck!" And it was no geese, nobody knows who's whatever, and I had a great time, and it was wonderful people and wonderful training, but I was pissed. I got somebody threw some new shit at me, and I didn't adapt and overcome, and I got caught. And it's the same in everything. Like, on my business, I'm 53, my business partner's 60. I'm going to work till I can't work anymore. I enjoy work, right? You enjoy work.
I do.
Like,
yep.
If you love what you do, you don't work at. Shut the fuck up, all right? We all punch a clock at some point, but I have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't, I didn't see patients for like 15 years. I'm back seeing patients 7 to 7 right now, just because of situations and where they are. And I love doing the management stuff. I love doing that. I love being entrepreneurial and coming up with new ideas. And like, I ain't done. I'll never quit working. If I do quit, and I've thought a lot about this, like if I were to just be like all in, then I'm done and I'm off the fucking grid.
Yeah.
Like Roatan or Costa Rica. Nice. I got to be somewhere with this tarpon, but like I'm off the grid.
Yeah.
I got boys.
Yeah.
So I got to deal with that. Rephrase. I love my boys. Not that I have to deal with that, but like I need to be here.
Yeah, you can't just fucking go.
Yeah, no, I need to be here, and I want to be here.
Support them,
but like all of a sudden they're married with kids, and I don't have to answer to anybody.
Deuces. Yeah, jump on the plane.
So fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But I have so many wonderful people around me. I'm very fortunate that my mom and dad still live in Myrtle Beach. They're healthy. They're doing their thing. So yeah, in terms of what next, I can't go anywhere that there's not jiu-jitsu. And, oh gosh, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to get off camera. Excuse me.
Salud.
It always
comes twice.
Comes in twos.
Yeah.
And so the same thing, like I couldn't go anywhere where there wasn't jiu-jitsu. And guess what? If I went somewhere that there weren't jiu-jitsu, what am I going to do? Open a jiu-jitsu gym. And, I just want to be close to my boys and, hopefully I have grandkids sometimes. Like all the stuff that you and I both think of. You're already a grandfather. What am I saying?
Yeah. I'm already a grandfather, man.
How old are you?
I'm 40. I'll be 43 this year. But I got started early. A lot of guys get started late. And
hold on. You're Hispanic.
Yeah.
You're late.
I was late. Yeah, my mom asked me that. My mom asked me if I was gay because I was so late. My uncle said I was gay. It's like, but
I'm being funny, but like that's so cool. And I can't even imagine that with almost 16 and 9. But case in point, man, I don't want to miss a second of their lives.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss a second.
Yeah,
and I've been afforded the luxury of like being able to go to the track meets and going to the soccer games. So I want to continue to do that, continue to work, continue to do jiu-jitsu. Still going to fish like a motherfucker. Like I've already got like 8 trips booked. And like I said, man, just try to be a good motherfucker. Comedy.
Yeah.
So the comedy thing, I don't make New Year's resolutions, right? Like it was like, oh, I'm not going to be a slut this year, and they're sucking dick by February.
Yeah. I'm a celibate, and I'm like, what the fuck?
This is why my mom won't watch this podcast. But like, I don't make New Year's resolutions, but I did make myself a promise that I would put time into comedy this year, because you can't be funny when you feel like shit. You can't be funny when life is punching you in the goad, right? So I made myself a promise, and I said, get through the shit, which I have, deal with it appropriately,
Mhm.
and then focus your energy on those things you want to do. And comedy is one of those things.
Mhm.
And so I want to do more shows. I want to increase my set and build it to the point where I have a solid hour and can be, you know, do I think I'm going to be the next guy getting the next? I always joke to people, I'm like, wait till I get my Netflix special. Ugh, I can't even watch my own shit because I can't even stand my own voice. Maybe you guys can, but I can't. But you see what I'm saying?
I get. I feel the same way about myself.
When you watch these things, how much do you hate yourself?
Oh fuck! I hate watching myself do anything.
I know.
Whether it's fighting or jiu-jitsu or MMA, it's like, look at this fucking retard. It's
So,
about me.
You know what's funny is one of your students.
Mhm.
So we rolled probably about a year ago, year and a half ago. Motherfucker didn't tell me he was taping it. Okay. Right. So he posted it today on he posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then he posted it today. I didn't even know. And I was tagged. So seriously, I was like this. I was rolling like this.
Oh yeah, just letting them work.
Right. No, letting them work.
Yeah, letting them work.
And he gave me a huge compliment today. He's like, when you roll the black belt, that's like you're rolling with an empty air bladder. But I was seriously like, I'm like, I don't want people to think that that's how I roll, like fucking, like a wet tampon on a city street. Like, what the hell? And so, and I was like, I remember that day, but I was like, dude, if you had told me, I would have been like,
yeah.
So, you know, case in point, man, is winding it down. I love to work, love to do my thing. I want to train. I really feel that my next step is investing, obviously, in my children, right? Like that's 100%. Like that's but hoping to invest a little bit in maybe in young men, because, and again, I don't want to get political, but men need to be men.
Yeah.
Women need to be women. And if you're anywhere in between, God love you, God bless you, and be you. Right? But men need men, women need women. And I'm not trying to create a divide. I'm just saying.
Right, you need a support system.
Jiu-Jitsu brings out the manliness in men.
Yeah.
And there's certain activities that bring out the femininity. And that's, hold on, that is the wonderful gift that God has given us, is that the masculinity of men and the femininity of women. Yeah. Right? Like that's a gift. Yeah. And if there's anything else there, then that's your gift and that's fine. Right. But I'm bringing my boys up to be men. I'll go back to what I started with. I'm bringing my boys up to be men. Yeah. And men aren't misogynistic. They're not assholes. They're not this. You know what? They're protectors. I stole this a little bit from Tim Kennedy, that my boys have brought up with a sheepdog mentality. Okay? So a sheepdog protects the sheep, and you can extrapolate whomever you want it to be, who the sheep are, from the wolf. And you can extrapolate whoever you want it is to the, you know, whoever you want it to be for the wolf. Right. But my boys, nor me, me leading, and my boys are going to be fine young men, fine young Christian men who live up to the, and I don't mean fine young Christian men. Like, listen, I love everybody. I'm not being exclusionary. I'm just saying, not in the moral or, God, I feel like I'm dancing. What I'm saying is, here's the deal. Here's what I'm saying. So I'm extremely clear and nothing is muddled. You're sitting at a breakfast place. You're eating your eggs Benedict. Your husband's eating his Belgian waffle. I'm sitting at the next table with my two boys. I got my 3 poached eggs, Cholula, 2 sausage patties and wheat toast, and everyone's eating their thing. The guy walks in. and says, give me all your wallets, I promise you that I'm the guy or my boys are the guy that you want to be there.
Yeah.
I promise you, I know him.
Yeah.
That's the guy you want to be there. I'm not trying to make any social statement on anything or anything. And I'm qualifying this because I hate to even use air quotes, but like I'm a professional, right? I'm not making any statement on anything. I'm just saying, I'm not saying what's right is right, is wrong is wrong. I'm just saying, when the shit hits the fan, we all know who you want.
Yeah.
And you want the sheepdog.
Yeah.
The sheepdog's the one watching after the flock.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. They're watching after the flock. So I just don't want any negative tones coming out and all of a sudden TMZ's canceling me. All my endorsement money goes away, right? You know, they cut off my TRT. I mean, dude, I don't need any of that.
Your fucking shoe deal with Nike gets canceled.
Exactly. But yeah, man, it's been
fun, man.
How long crazy? How long we gone?
We did over 2 hours, man.
That was nuts.
That's fucking dope.
It was awesome. You know I love you, dude.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah, man. And I hope everybody liked this. Let me tell you, it's good, dude. And tell them about the podcast.
Yeah, check out shuttheuppodcast.com, and then also check out Steve. If your back's fucked up, your shoulder, he's helped me a lot when I've fucking had injuries. You know, and that's how you guys see so many athletes and so many fighters, is because day in and day out, we're beating the shit out of our bodies training because we love to compete. And people who love to compete, or people who just love to train. If you like to train all the time, you're gonna get injured. And go see Steve and his people at corephysicalmedicine.com, and they'll take care of you guys.
Peace out.
We're out. Oos.